Hi everyone, this is Pace from Pace's Crappie Fishing. Today I'm going to be making a yellow and orange stimulator. I'm going to start with a curved shank nymph hook in size 12 with orange flat waxed mono thread. I'm going to wrap from about a third of the hook shank from the eyelet to half of the way down the hook shank before cutting my thread, and then wrap to the back of the hook shank. When I get to the back, I stop and grab a piece of elk hair. This is just natural colored elk hair. I have a piece already taken off the hide, but you want a nice thick piece. And then when you cut it off, use a hair stacker to evenly disperse the hair, and then take the downy fur from under it, the fuzzier fur, and take that off. Then attach the elk hair to the back of the hook with 2 to 3 loose wraps, and then a tight one, trying to keep it on the top of the hook shank before wrapping from the back to around the middle of the hook shank or to where you tied in with the elk hair. This helps create a more even body because this is a thread body fly. I'm going to cut the tag ends of the elk hair now at the point and cover up most of the elk hair with tight wraps. This is a thread body fly, so we don't want any of the elk hair showing. So I'm going to cover up most of it before going to the back of the hook where the tail is. And then I'm going to tie in a piece of dark brown saddle hackle. This cape is from whiting, and I find this to be a very high quality dry fly hackle. I'm going to take a pretty big piece of hackle and strip the back of it where you can see closer to the stem of the feather it's lighter in color. I'm going to go to the end of that and then cut it, and then do the same thing you did while stripping it, but lighter so it doesn't come off the stem, it just pulls it back. Then I'm going to attach the hackle at the top of the feather, and I'm going to wrap it with the thread all the way up to the where we tied the thread in. After that, cut the tag end and then cover up all of the hackle that you can see through the thread has to be covered up. Also try and keep the body as even as you can. It just helps with the presentation in the water. Try not to wrap over any of the hackle fibets. That'll just make it much harder to cover everything up. But as you can see, the body gets more and more even with the thick thread, and you can't see any more of the hackle. So this body is good. Then wrap back to the front where you tied it in and take a pair of hackle pliers and then clip them to the top of the hackle feather. After you do this, take the feather and wrap it as evenly as you can up, without trapping any of the fibets. Once we get to our thread, We're going to wrap the thread in front and in back of the hackle pliers, and try not to keep any of the phi bits pointed back at the end of the hook, because that will kind of help the fly sink if the phi bits aren't all pointing down towards the water. After that, wrap a fairly even little head to the back section and grab another patch of elk hair, this time a bit thicker, and it has to be longer. And then we're going to lay it on top of the hook shank until the tips of it are above the beginning of the tail. We're going to wrap this the same way we did the back and keep the elk hair on to create a bit of a thicker head for the fly, and keep the elk hair at the top of the hook shank. Try and make the head as even as you can while wrapping the orange thread around it. After we finish this, take it to the front of the hook shank and whip finish it. 4 or 5 times is good, and you don't need any head cement. After that, cut your tag ends and take your yellow thread of the same kind, flat waxed mono, and start that pretty close to the eyelet, but not all the way. Then wrap all the way back to the elk hair and then forward a bit. Then secure your tag end and then cut it. After we cut it, we try and make the body of this fly more even. But it doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. After that, wrap back to the very edge of where you tied the elk hair in, trying to cover up all of the orange thread, and take another piece of hackle just slightly larger than the back. I'm using the same dark brown color, but a lot of people will use grizzly for this step. Use the same method of stripping the bottom of the feather, but this time tie it in at the bottom also. We'll tie it in all the way to the elk hair and then cover up as much of the stem as we can. After we cover up the stem, we keep the head of the fly even in a long taper to the eyelet of the hook. Then we take our hackle pliers and don't trap any of the elk hair, and then evenly wrap the hackle over the head of the fly. Once we make it to the thread, we'll whip finish in back and then in front several times, and try not to trap any of the hackle phi bits. It's okay if you do, you can fix it in a little bit later. Then cut the tip of the hackle off without cutting your thread. And then check to make sure you got it all the way down to the thread. You don't want to leave any of it, it'll make the fly uneven. Then we'll take any phi bits that got trapped under the thread and pull them back, and then wrap over them. After this, we take our whip finisher and whip finish in front of the hackle. Try not to grab any of the bits of hackle in this step because you can't fix it. After that, snip your thread off. Then I like to take head cement with a small applicator and apply this to the top and bottom of the thread head. I don't go all around just to keep the fly to weigh as light as possible. And then that's how you make an orange and yellow stimulator.